Welcome to our third and final set of pre-season predictions here on the channel. We've done League One. We've done the Championship. I'll link them at the end of the video. Today, we are looking at the Premier League and attempting to predict the entire table. Why do we do it to ourselves? Get involved over on the community tab. Now, we did the same poll for EFL fans. Where is your team finishing in 24-25? You can vote top 4, 5 to 10, 11 to 17, or bottom 3. Very, very interesting, the difference between the expectations of EFL fans and Premier League fans. Almost like the Premier League's a little bit stiffer and we have a far better idea what is going to happen. Anyway, let's get into these predictions. And after last season, the first question we have to ask ourselves is, are all the teams that got promoted from the Championship coming straight back down? We hate the cliff edges, we hate the predictability, but that's exactly what happened last time out. And I'm starting with a yes. I've got Southampton in 20th, the lowest ranked team in the Premier League, obviously qualifying through the playoffs and winning, beating West Brom and Leeds in the semis and the final. Look, you can make lots of arguments about the Championship last season and say, okay, well, Southampton in any other season would have been automatically promoted. It was a ridiculous top 4 chase. Fine, I'll accept that. Just looking at the business, it does just seem to be sort of retaining the squad from last season. Obviously, Harwood Bellis was converted. A couple of others, but nothing absolutely mind-blowing yet. Still a long way in the window. I don't imagine there will be either. So this is purely down to Russ Martin and the pattern of play. I like Russ Martin, but the general sort of feeling is that he always takes a little while to warm into the season, tend to finish better than they start, although there was that big run for Southampton in the middle of the campaign. But you just don't get the luxury, do you? And I don't know, I can see it being a bit of a slow burn, too slow burner for Southampton, which is why I've got the Saints propping up the division. And as ever, I don't want anyone to go down. And get in the comments, if you're going to do this properly, you are also going to have to predict 3 teams to go down. Southampton are my first. Have I got another promoted team? Yes, I have. My God. I've got Leicester City just above Southampton. And bearing in mind, the basis for this is a points deduction. I've probably got them being a fair bit better than Southampton, but being pulled down by the deduction. I like Steve Cooper a lot. I think he'll get wins. He'll get draws as well. And, I mean, what is it going to be? 34, 35, 36 points to survive. But I really can't see how Leicester don't get a points deduction after the charges brought and robustly kind of defended. They're not going to get, if they are indeed guilty and punished, they're not going to get any dispensation for helping out, because they did the exact opposite and said, no, you can't charge us. We're going to defend this with all our might. So I think what I am saying is if they don't get points deduction, I think they'll stay up. But I think they will get points deduction. I think that is going to put them second bottom. I've got them in 19th. Here we go, everyone. And you all know I'm an Ipswich fan, so I wonder what I'm going to do next. Oh, it's a massive gamble, isn't it? An absolutely gigantic gamble. I've got Wolves dropping into A teams, which does mean Ipswich wouldn't be in the relegation zone, and the 3 promoted teams aren't all coming straight back down. Look, it's a stance, it's a gamble, whatever you want to call it. Wolves, it would be a drop down of 4 positions. Gary O'Neill has done a really, really good job there. There is a long-term trend down since the kind of Fosun jet-powered, money-fueled launch out of the Championship. And I think they finished 7th. Was it 2 or 3 years in a row? So the only way this happens is if they get a bad start, the owners panic, and then they make a bad hire, and it all kind of goes south, and we go into chaos. But I thought I'd get a little bit of a gamble in. It says on my notes there, lost 10 games from February onwards as well. So you could argue I mean, you could argue they were already safe at that point. But you could argue they ended the season badly. So the short-term and the long-term trend is downwards. Max Kilman out as well. Lots of finessing the sales and whatnot to try and get the right side of FFP, which they've done well, to be fair. It's a bit of a gamble. Those are my 3 to go down, which means, by God, Ipswich Town are surviving. Obviously, a lot of people will say, I cannot objectively look at Ipswich Town because I support them. You may be right. I don't know. You tell me. That's a moral conversation. Can anyone really truly be balanced about that? The team they support, you either, big them up or then you overcompensate and pull them down to prove that you're not bigging them up. It's hard to be completely objective, isn't it? So Ipswich obviously have come from the furthest back. They've come from 11th in League One to 2nd in League One to 2nd in the Championship. We get that, but there is some Premier League history, albeit 20 years ago now, and it's still a big fan base and a big expectation for Ipswich up there. The way it can happen is momentum and pattern of play, really. Let's be honest. Everyone's going to have better squads and, more Premier League experience than Ipswich. I get that. But the 2 examples I'm looking at are Chris Wilder and Sheffield United, who pulled League One players out of League One into the Championship, into the Premier League, and then finished 9th just by kind of riding it out and, keep going, don't change too much. Didn't end well the following season, admittedly, and I'm not comparing Kieran McKenna to Marcelo Bielsa, but a lot of the league winners at Leeds United, easy for me to say, the level was raised by an excellent managerial performance and a really, really stable pattern of play after a couple of years of winning. And that is my hope for Ipswich, that will see them one place above the dotted line in 17th. And one place above Ipswich in 16th would be Nottingham Forest. I've actually got them going up one place. Hear me out. I wonder whether we might get a bit of chaos at Forest and then a bounce at some point during the winter. I'm just thinking about Mr. Marianakis, the owner, and Nuno. Maybe, is he all that popular already? I wonder whether Forest might actually be significantly below 16th, change managers, and then bounce their way up and finish strongly. They've always done what they need to since they've been up, whether that be rebuilding the squad in the first season, getting rid of Steve Cooper in the second season. What the hell's going to happen in the third? I don't know, but I've got Forest surviving, maybe a bit like that. In 15th, I've got Fulham. Gravitational, really pulled down 2 places. You can't keep, if you have Mitrovic there and he goes, and Paulinia and he goes, you can't keep selling the star players and expect to, push your way up into the top half. They were 10th in the first season, and I would also put that down to a big pattern of play thing there, and the fact that they'd just been smashing teams for an entire season beforehand, and some Premier League experience, and let's be frank, a pretty much Premier League level wage bill in the Championship as well. So I've got them kind of trending down, although I do like Marco Silva a lot, and that number would be lower were it not for him. Be interesting to see how Smith Rowe goes as well. Big signing, that one. In 14th, I've got Brentford. Now, this is an Ivan Toney pick, I've got to say. So, I know Brentford shared the goals around without Toney, but he is such a star for them. And he goes into the last year of his contract, and they obviously didn't have him for a big bulk of last season. So my argument is that Ivan Toney is going to run his contract down, stay at Brentford another season, and that is going to push them up 2 places. I have to say, as much as I love what Brentford have done, and Thomas Frank, since he did that in the playoffs a lot, I just found that very amusing. If Ivan Toney goes in August, I think you can hack off a few places from that position, would be my argument. But a lot of people will say, come on, Ben, it's Brentford. They're a beautifully run club. It's not down to one player. So we will see. And look, we're in the realm of predictions. Anything could happen, frankly. But I've got Brentford up 2 in 14th. And I've got Brighton down 2 in 13th. I said this about Luton. No club can have a good season every season and punch their weight 5, 10, 15 years in a row. Surely Brighton have to trend down at some point, don't they? And I think now a new manager who is so young, and we think the tactical setup is going to be quite radically different, that perhaps Brighton are going to climb up to 13th after maybe a little bit of a interesting start. Or, I don't know, maybe there could be losing runs during the season as players kind of, fit into the new style. So I've got Brighton in the bottom half in 13th. And above them, look, I'm not touching Bournemouth because I always get them so... Bournemouth are my Stoke when it comes to the Premier League. I always kind of have them going one way or the other, and they're never there really. So it's fair play to Bournemouth because I think they've outperformed most people's expectations in terms of size and budget there, and even managerial changes that have worked out really well. So let's put Iraola exactly where he and Bournemouth were last season, in 12th position, and they're just going to be super consistent. They're going to keep doing their thing, and they're going to hold in 12th. And in 11th, I suppose this can go along with Wolves as one of my gambles. Or can it? Because actually, no, it's not a gamble. Because Sean Dyche really knows what he's doing. I think every league needs an outlier in terms of tactics. So while everyone's trying to ping the ball about the back and, record 7,000 passes a game and 75% possession, it's great to have teams that are set up. Can you defend, head it, kick it? Yes. Can you be hard to beat? Yes. Can you score from set plays and make the other team's defenders defend? Yes. Great. Love it. And that's what Sean Dyche has delivered over years at Burnley and now at Everton. And I think in terms of it not being a gamble, Everton, if you actually factor out the points deduction, probably about 12th or 11th. I have to check my maths last season anyway. So I'm going to have them exactly halfway up. Well, not exactly halfway up, but can you be exactly halfway up? I suppose 10th is exactly halfway up to 20th. But depends whether you're doing median, doesn't it? To be slap bang in the middle. But you take my point. I'm rambling now. And I've got to ramble into a plug as well, because we are supported as ever by Beer52 on the channel here. And you can get yourself a free, who doesn't like free? A free crate of beer. You can't get that mega one there. I've got 16 in there because the people at Beer52 are really kind and sent it to me. You can get one with 8 craft beers or dark beers for free, but let's be very clear about this, you have to pay the postage. Postage is £5.95. Still a great deal, even better deal. Look at that golden ticket. We're going to give that away on one of the watch-alongs at some point, and you don't have to pay the postage for that. I'll just give you the code and you can have some free beer as well. So stay tuned once the watch-alongs start as well. But you can claim this wonderful offer, www.beer52.com. So beer52.com/bloom. Please drink responsibly as we go into the top 10 with West Ham. Bit conflicted about West Ham. I got them down 1. When I did the manager rankings, I was kind of just a bit weirded out by Lopetegui, who seems to get amazingly good jobs. Does he deliver massively with the amazingly good jobs he's got in his career? I don't know. You tell me. Does he hang around? I don't know. You tell me. I like what West Ham are doing in terms of some of the transfer business. Always signed well from the EFL. And I don't know, has Fulkrug signed permanently yet? I know that it was rumoured to be done. That'd be a great signing as well. I don't know. Just not entirely sure in terms of going above where they were in 9th last season. So I'm going to stay with 10th position for West Ham. And I'm not sure Lopetegui will be there for 2-3 seasons, but you tell me in the comments. In 9th, I've just got to do this because I looked at Palace's history that went 12, 11, 10. So I've got to go 9th, haven't I? But Oliver Glasner, really, really good impact last season. I suppose you can tell me they've lost Michael Elise, which is a problem, but I don't know. Palace, they've got the whole setup. I'm not entirely sure about the owners actually either. Maybe I should swap Palace and West Ham, but you tell me in the comments. I'd just like the cut of the jib of the manager and where they were kind of going in the second half of last season. If they sell Eze as well, then maybe I need to knock that down a few as well, don't I? But let's go for Palace into the top half. Why not? Fun in South London. By the way, when you look at the Premier League, you almost fence off. Well, I won't say right at the top, but you definitely fence off the top 8. So here we go into what probably everybody is going to have as the top 8. And I've got Newcastle in 8th. I think they're going to stay steady Eddie Howe, assuming he's not going to go and do the England job. I don't think he is he? I think they'll stay steady, but I think a few other teams in this top 8 are going to improve and be better than them. And if you think about it, can you class Newcastle's, well, they were 4th, weren't they? Dropped back down to 7. Is that one going to look like a bit of the outlier rather than we judge everything on being in the top 4? I know they've got more money than God, but they're struggling to spend it. And nothing really about the business tells me that they're going to, jump certainly back to where they were in 4th or ahead of a few of the teams we were about to mention. So sorry, Newcastle fans, down 1 in 8th and also down 1 in 7th. Chelsea, who I'm completely confused by. This has got to be the one with the biggest variance, where you could probably have them 2nd or you could have them 15th, couldn't you, Chelsea? I just got no idea. There's an argument that Enzo Maresca, whose football was a little bit there's a lot of suspicion about it in the Championship. Oh, this is too slow. This is a bit dull, a bit boring. They're winning lots of games by 1 goal and they've got better players than everybody as well. Is there an argument it will work better in the Premier League with a Chelsea-level player than it did in the Championship with a Leicester-level player? I don't know. I can't fathom it. Maybe Chelsea will finish 7th with a different manager than Enzo Maresca because they've burned through lots of players and lots of managers since the Todd Burley ownership has been there. So can I see them improving from 6th up into the top 4? I mean, the expectation and the budget and the squad says they probably should. I'm just not sure in terms of what they've brought in and what they've got and everyone maturing at the right time that's going to happen yet. But how many years can we say that for Chelsea? So I've got them down 1 in 7th and down 1 in 6th. I'm sure the Spurs fans would want now break the glass ceiling under Ange Postecoglou and go up into the top 4. I've got them going the other way. I've got them going down 1 place. I love Archie Gray, but that's a long-term project. And you kind of almost feel that, and it could happen in the rest of the window, you almost feel that Spurs need to bust a move in the transfer market, don't they? In a similar way to a certain club that we're going to mention in a couple of positions' time, and make a really big play for it. But Daniel Levy is brilliant at making profits and delivering stadiums and top 6, 7 football, but maybe not top 4 football and trophies. So really like Big Ange, but what am I seeing that's different from last season that puts them higher than 5th? Not a lot really, unless the pattern of play is going to drag them there, and it's on the manager's shoulders. We will see. In 5th, up 3 positions, which actually, along with Everton, with the points deduction, I think is my biggest riser or faller that's not obviously coming in from the Championship. I think you start to get an element of stability now at Manchester United, which just doesn't feel like it's been there for the longest time now. A couple of youngsters added, no massive outgoings really. I accept the comments on the eye test and the pattern of play, but surely if Ten Hag is good, and his Ajax team suggested, particularly in Europe, that he is, that given the time, he'll get there. Maybe last year was the outlier, and they were 3rd the year before, and they'll come back a bit closer than that. And I don't know. We talk about gravity when we're talking about Fulham pulling them down. I think gravity in the end pulls Manchester United up, doesn't it? In the long run, I don't know. You tell me. Man United up 3 in 5th. And I'll get some flack for this. Liverpool down 1 in 4th. And this is purely a Klopp to Slot thing. Well, no, it's not purely, because just having a look at Salah and Van Dijk and Alisson, who have just been like the best players in the Premier League amongst them for years now. You now have the job where over the next, what do you reckon, 1, 2, 3 seasons, they're going to finish up, aren't they? Or they're certainly going to not be flogged for 38 games every season and relied upon to deliver, well, the title, top 2, top 3. So there's that side of it. And I just think Klopp was a force of nature. And I think it's going to be hard to immediately emulate. I thought they always punched above their weight. A, to beat Man City for that one season, and B, they were really unlucky with their points totals not to get another title as well. He just did an amazing job, Klopp, in terms of chasing Pep and Man City. And I think even if Slot does a good job, it's going to be hard. You basically need 90 points or more to beat Man City, and you could get that many and not beat Man City, as well as Liverpool fans well know. So maybe in the first season, down a place, which means this is my biggest gamble of the whole thing. Look at that. Aston Villa up one place in third. Can you imagine I'm right about that? I probably won't be, and it's going to be really bloody hard for Villa to improve on what they did last season. But I don't want to be boring about this and have this exactly where everyone expects and exactly where the market is going as well. So what I like about Villa is the upward trajectory, the momentum. The manager has done brilliantly. This will rely on all of the youngsters, Onana, Martson, players coming in, adding immediately to what was already a good team that finished fourth last season. And the other side of it is, if it's a little bit weaker around 4th to 6th, i.e. Man United kind of working their way back but not nailing it yet, Liverpool maybe dropping off a little bit, Chelsea not getting it completely right, the Spurs glass ceiling, that maybe Villa have the momentum to go above them. I realise, along with my Wolves pick, third top and third bottom is where I've gone for my gambles. Maybe I'm not gambling very much at all, given I've not gone for the outer extremities of the table. But let's have a bit of fun. One place improvement from Villa, which needs a perfect storm of a season, and they go up into third. Imagine that. Get involved in the comments. Right, everyone knows what the top 2 is going to be. And look, it's Arsenal and Man City. We know they're the only 2 teams left. Do you go for Arsenal to finally win the title? And how would that happen? Or do you go for Manchester City to just keep on trucking and win number 7 in 8 seasons and number 5 in a row? What do you do? Let's find out what I'm doing. And we've got to bracket them together. So I'm going Arsenal in second. So a lot of this depends on Man City, doesn't it? And the 115 and the distraction. And could they even conceivably get a point sanction that helps Arsenal win the title? Arsenal have got to be there to take advantage. But I think everybody would agree with me that if Man City are at or close to their best, and the 115 isn't an issue, and they don't have massive long injuries to De Bruyne, Haaland, Rodri, right through the spine of that team, then I think you're going to need 90 plus points again to beat Manchester City. What have Arsenal done in terms of being able to raise themselves? What did they get last season? Did they get 89, Arsenal? I know they were super, super close, weren't they? Amazing total, heading in the right direction, but brought in a new centre-back. That's pretty much it. I don't see that if Man City are close to their best, that what Arsenal have done, I think you're basically relying on momentum, pattern of play, and that, I don't know, Declan Rice 1 year on. And the centre-backs, Saliba, obviously, Calafiori, we mentioned, coming in now, that everybody, including Arteta, just improves a little bit to take them to, 93 points without the Man City drop-off that you'd probably need. So, boring. Arsenal in second again, which means Manchester City would be winning the title for the 5th year in a row. And you've got to invert the question, not what will win Man City the title, but what will stop them winning the title. And I've said the things. And part of me does think, here's a less boring prediction, is this the year that Pep and De Bruyne win the 5th title in a row and sail off into the sunset, knowing that the 115 and the court case is happening in November? There may not be a judgment during this season as well, where everything happens and they just conveniently wait until next June, and maybe Pep's already gone. Maybe De Bruyne's gone off to take the big Saudi bucks, and It's a new look Manchester City next season with a new manager, obviously still with Haaland and Rodri, maybe, but they're just a machine. And they're not a machine last season. They're a machine for 10 years. And I've mentioned pattern of play and stability and continuity. And yes, okay, the 10 years ago we're looking at now, they were stacked and bought all the best players year on year, window on window. And they're actually sustainable now by the rules, which is pretty scary, isn't it? So they've got more continuity and stability than anyone, unless we get chaos in the trial for the 115. I don't see that being an issue. Can you imagine Man City got a 10-point deduction and still won the league as well? That'd be humorous and maddening at the same time. But yeah, it feels like with a fair wind in a normal season, Man City will score 90 points again and win the Premier League title. So let's assume that is what is going to happen. Have your say in the comments. Now, remember, for a D- for your comment, you just mention one team and you put a load of emojis. You don't put any kind of argument. And let's be honest, it'd be the team you support and you have them 5 places higher than I've put them. That gets a D-. In fact, that gets a U. That's a rubbish comment. All it is you being emotional and saying, oh, I wanted you to say nicer things about my team. Do better. I need more than one team. Preferably, give me a top 4. Give me a bottom 3. Give me a bottom 5. Because the next question is always, okay, you got those 3 going down. Who's surviving? Who's next? Who's just outside? For an A star in the comments, give me a whole 1 to 20. Can you do it? I've done the test. Put your neck on the line. And I'm trying my best this season to stand up for A, for what is right, and B, for content creators, and C, for personal accountability. Don't be a dick on the internet. Yeah? My personal accountability is I'm going to try and spread this message that people are idiots online. People are awful online. They behave in really bad ways. Speak to me like I'm a bit of turd on their shoe. Don't do it. Take accountability. Be better. Okay? So get in the comments. Free speech ahoy. You can say what you like, but there's a consequence if you're going to be a prick about it. And why can't we have a lovely, balanced conversation rather than the normal detritus of insults to me or, I don't know, a load of emojis? It's like, come on, do better. And people have done better, actually, in our League One and our Championship predictions, which I'm going to link right up here. It's been a really, really busy weekend doing this. Takes a hell of a lot of work. So I appreciate your thumbs up on these. I appreciate your comments, your balanced debating comments. And I'd really appreciate if you went and check out the other 1 to 24s along with this 1 to 20.